YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Warhammer. Yes, it's more Dawi action. I guess that I needed more. No, I actually played a couple of battles as the vampires the same night I played this, but I mean, the battles were fun, but I didn't think they turned out into anything that you'd really want to watch. They were both like very attrition-y vampire battles, so I don't know. I decided to show this instead. So I've got one Grumbling Guard, 2 Longbeards with great weapons, a Rune Lord, 2 Rune Smiths. So this is actually a pretty ferocious core to a dwarf army. The double Rune Smith Rune Lord can put down an insane amount of damage onto certain types of enemy armies. I've got 4 Dwarf Warriors, 1 on either flank, 1 in back, and I've got 2 units of Slayers, and then I'm rocking Ulthar's Raiders right here in the center, and then 2 regular Rangers with great weapons. My thinking for this was that, you know, if the Greenskins brought a high value target like an Arachnarok Spider, these would be able to cut it down, and then the Slayers and Dwarf Warriors could protect them long enough to make it happen. I have 2 Miners with blasting charges up front just to slow up the Greenskin infantry charges and to lessen the impact of the Greenskin infantry. Let's look at the Greenskin army. My opponent's got 2 Boar Biggins out here on this flank. His main line is all Black Orcs, and he has 6 of them. So he's gone all in anti-armor. And he's got Wurzag, which is an interesting pick. I don't know if that was just because of money. He's got some Gobos around him, and then right behind him he's got some the Rusty Errors. So interesting picks here. And if I look at Wurzag, probably going to be used for Here We Go, if I had to venture a guess. He's got the Fist of Gork in Here We Go. So definitely not bad spells. So basically, I think he's hoping to overwhelm me with insane Black Orcs. But you'll notice that I go ahead and unleash the Miners, and then I use the Marked by Ulthar, and then just start unloading all my axes onto 1 Black Orc. And then right after that, I've already got the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin going on 1, and then I hit another Rune of Wrath and Ruin somewhere around here. Yeah, right here. And then I'm going to get another one out too. So you can already see 1 Black Orc basically wrecked, the Master Rune wrecking another, and then some pretty solid damage done to this one by the Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So the line of Black Orcs is already in pretty big trouble, and I haven't even engaged my leadership yet. This one Rune Lord, or 1 Rune Smith got threw out there by a misclick, actually. I'm able to chase back his Boar Boys, which is great. My opponent's got 2 big bosses, and like I said, he's just sitting back with the Rusty Errors and firing across into my Slayers right now, trying to get rid of them so he can use his Boars. He's being patient with his Boars, which is definitely a good call. I moved a Dwarf Warrior over here and then didn't get another attack order clicked into the back of these Black Orcs. But look, 2 units of Black Orcs over here pretty much already beat. And then down the center, we've got more Wrath and Ruin damage, and then I'm using the Rangers with great weapons to just really shred the Black Orcs before they can get through my line, because they would, otherwise they would tear their way through. He uses his Boar Boys to attack my Dwarf Warriors out here. Not a bad call. These guys have a little bit of armor piercing. They're going to be a pretty solid unit against a Dwarf Warrior. And he manages to get a rear charge in over here. Accidentally misclicked a fallback order there, so another misclick on my part. And you can see I'm using the Master Rune of Oath and Steel and the Rune of Negation, making it very difficult for the Greenskins to get any headway. Here I'm going to chase out the Boar Boys again. So the Boar Boys have been chased out. And then I have 2 units of Slayers. I'm trying to remember where I put the other one. I think they're right here. Yeah, so I'm going to pull the Slayers back away from the combat with the Black Orcs, because I can see that I'm going to lose this combat out here against the Boar Biggins. And look at that, just straight in charge. Boar Biggins win. Not a big surprise. Yeah, the Rusty Errors did get rid of Ulthar's Raiders, which is a bit frustrating for me, but not a big surprise either. So we got rid of 1 Gobbo Big Boss. You can see my leadership core is right in the middle of this fight, and they've ganged up on Wurzag, and they will pretty quickly put an end to Wurzag because he's not made for this kind of combat. So Wurzag is right in the middle of it. I'm going to chase his Boars with my Slayers. And Slayers are pretty quick, though they're going to struggle to keep up with Boars. And I've got the other unit of Slayers back here. I'm going to bring them in behind and trap this Boar Boy so it can't get away. And then in the center, just a matter of time before my runes and other stuff wear this down. The Rusty Errors stray a little too close to my Rangers, and they become a target for the throwing axes. And my opponent is trying to kill the Slayers out here, I believe. Yeah, he ends up taking some damage, and I decided to switch from the Rusty Arrows into the Black Orc, because the Rusty Arrows are not really a imminent threat to me. They don't have enough ammo to do absurd damage, so it was more important for me to get rid of the Black Orc, in my opinion. These Slayers did get in from behind here, and they're going to start tearing down the Boar Boys in a fairly big hurry. These Boars did get past me, and they're going to charge in, but going to be limited impact at this point. See my Rune Lord here charging through. Looks like he hit one of his own Longbeards right there. So in any case, that one's going to be a Pyrrhic victory for me, is what it says. So let's end the replay. I really like the double Runesmith Rune Lord build with the dwarves. I think it's one of their stronger builds, and I actually think that it makes them an absolute pain in the crap for the greenskins to deal with, because they can cause so much magic damage. If you look, I really didn't get that many kills with any of my units. You might be wondering, well, how in the world did Air win this battle? He didn't even like kill any of the enemy. Like his rangers are the only. It's these guys right here. It doesn't chalk up all the kills due to their magic, but they cause absurd damage. Especially the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And some people might be like, well, that's OP. Well, the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin takes a lot longer to cool down, and it has a cooldown time coming into battle. So if you rush one of these builds, you might be able to get some damage done before the Master or the Rune Lord can use some of that stuff. So that's one way to try and get around it. But the other two Runesmiths, theirs is more limited in what it does. It's definitely good. I'm not downplaying it. It's good, and it also makes the dwarf infantry last longer, which means that sometimes you just kind of win out by attrition almost with the dwarves, even though they can't heal. So I'll show you what I mean. Whenever I picked this army, I kind of made a couple of key things here. I just want to point this out. I really don't like putting the Runesmith on an anvil. And the reason for that is he does get physical resistance, which is kind of nice. You get missile resistance. If you don't expect your enemy to bring high charge lords or heroes or monster units, so let me give you some examples. A manticore or a dragon or a griffin are less likely to miss a large target. And whenever you put your lord on this anvil, he doesn't get staggered, which some of you may be saying, well, Air, shouldn't that be a good thing? Because Ungrim got his crap knocked around by Sartharel. Against Sartharel, it would have been a good thing, because he couldn't have knocked me around. And so being less staggered, I would have gotten more hits. But against anything like a flying corps from the Empire or the Bretonnians or the vampires or anybody who can put together a lot of charging stuff, you really don't want your Rune Lord on the anvil, because being on foot, you want him to get knocked around. Because it makes it take longer for the enemy to kill you, because you're always getting up off the ground and they can't get any hits. And your Rune Lord is really more of a support unit than he is a melee beast. In fact, I mean, you can see his melee strength is pretty crappy. And then when I take the abilities here, I know that some of you may disagree with this again, but I always get rid of Forge Fire. It's 8% armor piercing damage. Let me give you an example. So let's take a Longbeard with Great Weapon. My weapon strength is 32. 25% of that, or 25 of that 32 is armor piercing. So 8% boost to my armor piercing. If you take 10% of 25, it's 2.5. So 8 is just a little bit less than that. So you're talking maybe a boost of 2 to the armor piercing. Is it a big deal? Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's only a 40-meter radius, and Forge Fire costs extra money. So what I usually do, and you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, I ditch Forge Fire because I don't think it's worth it. And I also ditch this Rune of Hearth and Home because, again, it only affects the allies in range. Now, you may choose to keep this sometimes. If you're going to do the Runesmith, Rune Lord build, and you want to use a whole lot of standard Dwarf Warriors, and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons and miners, I actually suggest you keep this. And that immune to psychology is very, very important, because it'll keep you from getting terror bombed by the Empire or anybody else who's got terror units. Vampires have a ton, Bretonnia's got them, lots of people have terror units, so be aware of that. So this can be handy if you're going up against the wrong foe. So against the Greenskins, even if I was going to use, but you notice my front line was Longbeards, and I had these heroes, so I was like, you know what, I don't even need that either. I don't need the extra leadership because I'm a dwarf. You don't need it. So basically I left these 3 runes on, and I didn't give him this rune over here because being unbreakable is just not important. So that's how I got my Rune Lord down cheap. And then when I wanted 2 Rune Smiths, in order not to overlap, So really, the Master Rune of Oath and Steel is good. The Master Rune of Negation is good, but not so, I mean, like, this one's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not as important, so just keep only the things you need. So the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and then I give one of them the Master Rune of Stromny Redbeard, which basically gives all the units around him 4 leadership and 8 melee attacks, so that's great. And that makes him cost 913. Then I take the other Runesmith, and I do the same thing up here on the front. And then I come to the items, and I give him the Master Rune of Groth One Eye. So I'm not overlapping abilities from these 2 Runesmiths. Both of them have an Encourage aura, which is great. But then, additionally, this guy's giving everybody 8 leadership. This guy's giving everybody 4 leadership and extra melee attack. So that is, in my opinion, the best way to balance the cost of the Runesmiths and still leave you a lot of money for other units in your army. And to be quite honest, there's a lot of different things you could do. Infantry-wise, you can always bring a Grudge Thrower, you could bring Gyrocopters. I think that this is a fairly flexible core to a Dwarf army, and you can kind of take it where you like from there. Hopefully this was informative, and hopefully I'll learn something. If you guys think I'm doing it wrong with the Dwarves, let me know. Be curious to see what you think. But that's kind of one of my favorite leadership cores for a good Dwarf army to go up against just about any faction, to be honest. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? Hey, I appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel. I am still giving away an awesome computer that they help sponsor. Check out the links in the description if you want to go enter to win that computer. I give it away on May 30th, so it's coming up soon. And I appreciate you, my awesome viewers, for being here. You're fantastic. I love making this content for you. It's a pleasure every day. And I hope to see you back soon. If you want to subscribe, I got a logo in the bottom right-hand corner. Click it. You can be some of the first to know when I have new content. And I hope to see you on that new content. HeirofCarthage, signing out.